Good morning, sports fans, bettors, and cappers, and welcome to what day is it today? It's Monday edition of the Competitive Hedge podcast. I'm your host of the show, Kenneth Cotterill, and thank you all for listening here today. This podcast is all about sports and the world of betting. We talk about results and headlines from the past couple of weeks before diving into today's betting slate, and we cap things off with our daily betting card. Now, happy Monday, everybody. We are excited today to bring you episode 200 of the Competitive Hedge podcast. And so I've got a couple of guests joining me here today for the Milestone episode. Now, I'm going to start out by bringing on a guy who's deeply supported the Competitive Hedge podcast, not only through himself, but through the network that he is the president of. He is the host of the Off the Ball podcast as well. He is Chris Lebron. Chris, how are we doing today?
Hey, bro, congrats on 200 episodes. First of all, that's a massive milestone. Not a lot of people get past one episode, let alone 200. So big congrats. And it's been fun seeing the growth since, the couple years back when we first, got together and started doing this whole podcasting stuff. So congrats on 200, brother.
And I am also joined today by another regular on the show, a guy who he pumped his fist in the air a couple weeks ago when the number one pick was announced in the NBA draft. He's a diehard Spurs fan, but most importantly, he's a betting degen, which means he fits in perfectly on this show. And that is Walker Bailey. Walker, how are we doing today, buddy?
I'd be better. I won't go into the Rangers stuff today, but yeah, we're trying. We're getting better.
We feel so bad for you.
Yeah, you should. It's
first
really bad.
Place, and then you get Victor last 2 weeks ago. So
yeah,
we'll be all right.
Yeah. When you make it sound like that.
Wait, yeah, it's almost like you're spoiled or something, and we're just pointing that out. So really excited for today's episode. Before we do dive into today's episode, though, we got to do our quick ad. Before we get started with today's episode, are you looking to make some wagers? Then head over to bet99.com. Bet99 is a Canadian sportsbook and casino that offers in-play betting, player props, a cash-out option, and many more great products. There are a variety of sports available on the website to bet on, including NHL, NBA, NFL, and MLB. Bet99 works smoothly on both desktop and mobile, and the mobile app can be downloaded from the website's homepage. Now, depositing and withdrawing funds is hassle-free with a number of well-known methods available to use, so you know your money is safe and secure. The website can be viewed in both English and French, and customer service is available 24/7 with their live chat option. So go to bet99.com today to make an account. Use code SHOOTERS at sign up, and please gamble responsibly. You must be 19 plus years of age to do so. And if you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, contact Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Now, let's get back to the show. Alrighty, so ad read is done. Now, let's start out today's episode by talking about what's been probably the talk of the sports world over the last couple of days, and that is NBA free agency. A lot of big moves, a lot of moves that still haven't happened yet. Our teams probably didn't have the most lively of free agencies, to say the least, and we're going to start out by talking about the guy whose team traded Obi Toppin to the team that has the player that they should have drafted a couple years ago and signed to a massive extension. And then they added Dante DiVincenzo for 4 years, $50 million. They are now is it the Villanova Knicks, the New York Wildcats? Like, what are we going with here moving forward?
Yeah, but next is going to be Randy Foye and Kyle Lowry and Ryan Gomes. Oh no, Ryan Gomes went to. Did Ryan Gomes go to Villanova? Or he went to Prep.
You can get Arcidiacono. Like, there's plenty of options out there.
You can get Arcidiacono.
We had him, and we cut him when the Cam Reddish trade. So we're just gonna be all Villanova boys, I guess. That's how we manage our team. We just get friends. Everybody's friends come on the team.
I mean, you looked puzzled, and I think a lot of NBA fans are a little bit puzzled with where the Knicks are going with this thing. So we've seen some other teams in the East kind of either re-up or add some pieces. I mean, you look at the team that you even knocked out in the first round. They've gone out and made some moves and tried to have a bit of a better bench for next year because they knew that was an issue that they had. So, Chris, what's the direction of the New York Knicks?
That's a good question. I truly don't know what the direction is. We second straight year we don't have a first round pick. Last year we traded it for cap space to get Jalen Brunson, and then this year we just didn't have a pick at all. And we traded Toppin to essentially make moves to get DiVincenzo. I mean, he's a solid pickup. It's not, I don't think he's going to move the needle for us. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're waiting in the weeds to make a massive trade, to get someone. I don't know who that is, to be honest. So I really don't know. So just a lot of uncertainty a little bit, at the moment. I still think they're a playoff team and all that, but I don't think they made enough moves so far to take that next step, to get to the conference finals, if that's what their vision is and all that. So, it's always the next year with this team. It's always, and like we talked before, like Woj said, and guys are like, yeah, the Knicks are in prime position to get someone. And then it's, next year they're in prime position. It's like, oh, really? I've heard this one before. This is going on, year 13 of that? 2010, we heard it's like, no, next year. And it's just like, all right, I'm so tired of it. And you know how I am. I'm big on the draft. So that bothers me more that they don't draft and they just traded away a pick that to a team like you just mentioned, to Halliburton, who I feel like we should have taken in the first place that year. So I don't know. I'm very conflicted how I'm supposed to feel. I think I'm more mad about the summer league team being kind of maybe the worst summer league team in the NBA, and them just being really bad at drafting, so I don't know. I'm just conflicted. They'll be solid, but DiVincenzo's solid move. Nothing that's going to be crazy. He's definitely going to help, but it's not, we're going to go from being 44 wins or 46 wins to 56 win team, or being a potential to be a finals team.
So Chris is conflicted, and I think that the Knicks have honestly just stayed put. Now, a guy who doesn't mince words is Walker Bailey, so maybe you could help enlighten Chris. What's happening with the Knicks this year? Where are they going? What's the direction?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like they're exactly in the same spot that they were a year ago, to be honest. But, the problem is that other teams got better. So, they may theoretically be a playoff team, but they also are closer to the play-in than they are to the top of the standings because – other teams got better, and you were the 5 seed last year. So you're just they needed to get better, and they didn't get better. So I like the DiVincenzo move, though. I think he's a good player. He does some things for them that they didn't have last year. He's going to make some shots. And the Knicks really kind of lacked, true just kind of catch and shoot shot makers, which I think is why, Josh Hart probably endeared himself to a lot of those fans, is because when he got catch and shoot opportunities, it wasn't a 25%, 30% shooter. So they finally got Derrick Rose off the payroll. That's always a win. You basically traded his money for DiVincenzo's money. So, yeah, I don't know. They could have done more, but also you have to applaud them for not just go doing a bunch of stuff just to do it, just to attempt to move the needle, at least keeping their affairs in order where they can do something. But the problem is when it comes to big trades with them, they're not one of the teams that has more assets than everyone else. If it gets into bidding wars, they're not really going to win very many of those bidding wars. It's going to take someone forcing their way to come play for the Knicks.
It's never happened.
And Julius Randle can't even.
I don't hear Dame Lillard saying, "I want to be in New York." What's crazy? Everyone says, "Yo, the Knicks are just waiting for that superstar to say they want to be a Knick," and I'm like, when is that going to happen?
And
also, who are these superstars?
Dame wanted to be a Miami Heat. LeBron wanted to be a Laker.
Kind of did it, and even Mitchell, who kind of said that, the Knicks didn't play ball. They thought that gave them some kind of leverage. And then the Cavs were like, "Nah, we'll play ball." And the Jazz were like, "All right, cool." And so they got Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, I don't know. They're waiting on, it's weird. They're waiting on someone to say, "Hey, I want to be a Knick." And then they are waiting on the other team to basically just balk at that and just be like, "Okay, cool. We'll give them to you for, Quentin Grimes and a second round pick." they're waiting on teams to balk. Like they don't want to play ball. Like they don't want to come and meet the price. Like, and that's also like Miami fans are struggling with the same thing because Dame's basically said, I want to go to Miami. But like the only people like Miami doesn't have enough to get Damian Lillard.
Yeah,
like if Portland, because Portland has now said like, yeah, we get he wants to go there, but like we're not just going to trade him there because he wants to go there. Like we're still trying to win. Like we have a franchise to run. So
and really, what can you get from Miami? You can get Hero, you can get Robinson, and then
even still, like
you don't want Hero because of his contract, because this is going to be a first year of his rookie extension.
Well, and so they basically said that Hero is going to have to go to a third team, and like they're talking about the Spurs getting Hero or the Rockets or someone like that, and like none of that really why are those teams incentivized to take on that contract? Like
exactly,
doesn't make any sense for them. Like you're going to have to, and Miami doesn't have really. Portland's going to want what first round picks they have left and swaps they have left, which is not much. In order to trade Dame. So like if you can't entice a third and fourth team to get in and like give them assets, then like it's just hard to pull off.
I think Philly's gonna come out of nowhere. They're gonna RKO out of nowhere because they have the piece. They have Maxey.
Yeah, but they keep acting like. Did you see the quote today that I came out of the front office where they're like, yeah, like prime Michael Jordan, 25-year-old LeBron, like that's all good. We're not trading Maxey for any of those guys. And it was like, oh my
Everybody says that.
Yeah, all right.
If you have the opportunity and you have a small window to win now, hey, you could find Max. Maxey's a good player. I know. I think his how good he's people think he's going to be has kind of been a little bit overrated. Like you could let's be real, you could find Maxey's like it's microwave scorers like him. You could find guys like
guys that can average
and then
19 to 22 points.
And then Ramona
Shelburne find all the time. Like
Ramona Shelburne and Zach Lowe and Wodge and all those guys keep trying to tie like Lillard to some of these younger teams. Like San Antonio is one that got like specifically tweeted about. Like, and it's just like you think this smart franchise who has a bunch of young players and assets is about to mortgage it all to pay Damian Lillard $60 million in 3 years. Like you think that's the move? It's like no, like that's not the move. Like,
and that's the difficulty though of his contract at the time when he signed it was like Portland was all in on keeping him, but they kind of left themselves in a spot where now trying to get rid of him because you're trying to rebuild. Like these other stars aren't at Dame money yet. They haven't got to market to get $60 million. So when you're looking at Dame's contract, you're like, oh boy, that's a lot of money to be paying a guy. And then in order to make it work money-wise, then you have to take on like a gross contract like a Lowry or something from Miami in order to make it work. I know it's an expiring, but you have to make the money work somehow. And as much as the league may seem like it doesn't matter,
then you got to waive him. Then you're going to waive Lowry because you're not going to play him if you're
right.
Portland.
Dame's also not
buy him out, stretch out his contract
anymore. Like Dame's not 28 anymore. Like you're trading for a pretty old player, like who like at any moment here, like these guards who rely on like those explosive step backs and stuff, that could go away. Like literally any day, like it could go any moment. But all of that tying back to the fact that like if that move actually or ends up playing out that way, then you could be looking at like the Knicks falling below Miami, who were the 8 last year. Like Brooklyn's got enough dudes where like they can be scrappy and at least compete enough to where they can be like a fringy playoff team. Like, there's just stuff, I don't know. Like, I mean,
if you're Brooklyn, do you even entertain the Dame stuff? Or you just like, you know what? We just went through this crap.
We've gone through an absolute carousel of bringing in old guys. Why?
If I'm Brooklyn, I don't even like I had Pete on the show. And we were talking about that, and he kind of felt this. He said he would go in on Dame, and I'm like, I don't know. If I'm Brooklyn, we just went through this, and like we don't even control our own pick. I think Houston has their pick for this year, so like it's not like let's just go let's just stay where we are and just
actually rebuild this thing, and
not even like a rebuild, but like let's just be competitive. Let's see if Mikal, where he is as a player, is he a 1? Or do we next year realize, okay, let's say we are good. Let's say they make the playoffs. All right, Mikal's not a 1, but hey, maybe if we can get this guy, maybe I think I would wait it out, see how this. Because what if you're really bad this year?
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, maybe we could trade Mikal actually and try to get in the lottery or something since we don't have our pick. I don't know if I'm Brooklyn, I don't even entertain it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a storyline to keep an eye on for the coming weeks, because I do think that it will be in the coming weeks that we'll see him finally get dealt. Now, we've already kind of touched on Walker's Spurs team. It was basically Wemby, which, that in itself is a win for the summer.
Congrats.
Yeah,
congrats on Wemby. Getting the number 1 pick. And
then you re-sign Trey Jones for $10 million a year for a couple of years.
Number 1 pick, a generational center is somehow on end that draft. This happens every time.
Yeah.
So Walker's content with where he's at. Now, I'm a Laker fan. It was actually a pretty lively last couple days as far as money getting thrown around and some pieces being kept long term. D'Angelo Russell got 2 years, 27. Added Gabe Vincent for 3 years, 33, which I actually think that's a pretty solid contract for what you get from him. You kept Rui 3 years, 51. You added Taurean Prince and Jackson Hayes off the bench. But I look at all these moves, and at the end of the day, I think that at best this would have won the Lakers one more game against the Nuggets, and I still don't think that they're an actual contender in the West. Maybe that's me being a cynic, but what do you guys think of what the Lakers did? Walker, I'll start with you.
Yeah, but the Nuggets got worse. I mean, the Nuggets got worse because Bruce is gone, and there's stuff there where they got and I think the Lakers – maybe I'm a little bit higher on their free agency than you are. I think they've had probably the best free agency in the league to this point. And I'm not a Lakers guy at all. But I think they've had the best free agency in the league. And then Denver's gotten a little bit worse. So Phoenix is probably a gas can. So it does in a way put you closer to contention. Right now they'd be if you had me looking at the board, the last I saw the Lakers were 15-1 to win the title. The only thing that worries me with the Lakers is they didn't really solve the size issue. And that was something that they really kind of needed to figure out. They needed some more big bodies. And Jackson Hayes can rim run and do some stuff, but he's not a big body per se. That's not a true 5. But the good news is they've still got time to solve that problem if they want to. And that's also something they can fix at the deadline potentially. I think that, with a little bit more size, that team becomes really, really problematic. They've got some guys that are going to knock down some shots. I don't know that Heat culture carries over to the Lakers, so Gabe Vincent will probably be back to 31% from 3 in the playoffs. But
you had to take that opportunity to take a Heat shot, and I appreciate that in the worst way.
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I mean, though it gives them a lot of options. Vincent will give them the ability to in the playoffs, where if a point guard is bad, they don't just have to all right, scrap it. We've got to put LeBron at point. Vincent gives them a steady option there in the postseason.
I will say I did like the Reeves contract that they got.
I was just fixing to say that was probably one of the better deals in the whole thing, and I get why teams didn't offer sheet him because they didn't want to tie all their money up for a week waiting on the Lakers to match it.
A week or 10 days?
It was a week or 10 days where you couldn't do anything, and you had and really there were only 2 teams that could do it, and it was Houston and San Antonio, and for those teams that didn't really just make a bunch of sense. I didn't feel so. I thought they got really good value on Reeves for the next 4 years. Yeah, I mean, they had a really good offseason. I think they're probably in that, unanimous top 4 in the West, and could really fall anywhere in that top 4. They could be 1, they could be 4. It could be anywhere in between.
I guess I'm probably more so a cynic, not about the moves as much as I'm wondering when LeBron falls off a cliff, and I think that he was good in the playoffs, and I mean, he clearly ran out of gas in that Denver series because he was trying to do everything, and then when he passed it over to his co-star, then it didn't really happen. So that's probably more so why I'm a cynic about it, is that I just don't know if they're contenders if LeBron's not still playing at that level, and I don't know if he's going to another year older. But Chris, what do you think of the moves?
I like it.
Yeah,
I like what they did. It's the opposite of the last few off seasons, but I like what they did a lot. I think this makes them the favorites in the West. I think Denver got worse, and I think that Denver got worse. Losing Bruce Brown's huge and all that. You know, now you're expecting Christian Braun to fill in that spot, and he was good in moments last year, but he's not Bruce Brown though. So that's tough. They brought back Reggie Jackson, but he didn't even play for them last year. So like I don't know what the expectation is. I know they got him on a cheap deal, but he didn't play last year and all that. They brought back. They lose Jeff Green, which is huge because he actually gave them good minutes. And they did a lot of stuff during the draft, moving around and all that, and got some players. I know they got Julian Strother from Gonzaga and all that. But it's going to take him a few years to develop and all that. But I think the Lakers are in a good position.
I mean, the conference definitely is. It's the inferior conference still. Like as much as Denver won the title, like you look at how good the East got, or at least some of the teams maintained, then I would say for sure the West is a lot more wide open in that regard.
I think the Lakers are. I think it's in the script too. It's the script. The script is LeBron's going off in his last season in the NBA as a world champion. That's how the script. That's what the script's going to be this year. It's going to be for the Lakers to win the whole thing. Well,
if you two are that high, then I'm probably going to go bet Lakers at 15-1 after this, just because.
I mean, I'm going to. I think that's my favorite NBA spot right now, because also the thing with Denver is you have to factor in the fact, on top of the fact that the roster's worse, that they did play all the way into June, and like they've never done that before, and those teams tend to struggle early in the season.
Jr. still sucks, so
I know. Well, and like those teams tend to struggle with their legs early in the season. Like I think Denver, like there's a real chance Denver only wins 49 games next year, something like that. And so if that's the case,
they had no injuries
I think you're looking at the
Lakers. And they didn't. How it works. Like the NBA, like the healthiest team wins, and they were the healthiest. They had no injuries last year in the playoffs. So is that?
So I think with the Lakers,
they went through that too, right?
I think,
and so that's another factor too. Like I
think with the Lakers, that you're just kind of like, you hope that they have a plan for LeBron, or they can just, to cross sport reference, it's almost like DeGrom in a way. Like you just kind of like, and obviously the Rangers failed because they're incompetent, but it's like just keep LeBron healthy, like have LeBron or
that's why they added a bunch of wings though. They added Cam Reddish too on a cheap deal too, 2 for $4. So
no, that's what I'm saying. But like you go and it's like, hey, like let's just make sure LeBron is healthy when we have to play game 1 of the first round series. Like if he has to sit December in Minnesota, like we'll probably beat the hapless Timberwolves without him. Like
that's exactly why I feel like they got guys like Cam Reddish, brought back Rui, AR, all those a bunch of wings. Just like we got to preserve LeBron for the summer. For that, because that's the only thing that really matters anyway. So preserve him and all that. Like I feel like they got a real good deal in Cam Reddish. Like I know he's been kind of up.
So does he finally take off this year?
If he doesn't, then he's gonna be in the NBL or in China next year, because this is it. This is it. No more excuses. Like everybody makes excuses for Cam Reddish, and it's like, when you're just gonna look in the mirror and be like, it might just be him. He just might be that we see this all the time with guys like him, right? That are just up and down. Like they'll show flashes and then like they'll show like, oh wow, that's why you're not playing. Like he's just one of those guys, and like
they play themselves off the floor and onto the floor just based off of
you also may see the Lakers bring back some of those guys that were on the roster last year that maybe got into free agency and thought there was going to be a market for him, like Alani Walker, where there was no market where you could get him back on a minimum because he has nowhere.
Back, right? I think he's back on a 1-year deal.
Maybe so, but like you can like guys like that where you fill out that back end of that roster where the Lakers, I feel like the Lakers roster, you're not really going to carry those 1 or 2 dead weight players like a lot of people carry. Like you're not going to carry the corpse of Udonis Haslem, or something.
Well, and they made good moves by like not bringing back Schroeder because you added Vincent. You saved money there because then the Raptors threw like 2 years, 26, I think, for Schroeder. So I think that at least at the very least that's okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be really good.
Hood too. So like, not that he may not be he might not make a factor, but that's like some youth that maybe down the line.
He's a nice guy to just have so you can rest LeBron. Like
yeah. Well, and then Max Lewis again, like another kind of wingy type.
And then they have who's the dude they drafted from Oregon last year? Max Christie they drafted last year. So he's a shooter. That's someone that
Michigan State.
Michigan.
As long as the days of watching Matt Ryan, the basketball player, are behind me as a Laker fan, then maybe
those will be gone. I think if you bet the Lakers 15-1, you just have to understand that like you can't really get upset about regular season games. Like you just kind of have to swallow it and be like, all right, like this bet really doesn't even start until doesn't even really start until April.
I think the Lakers are one of those teams where, like last year, where it doesn't really matter what seed they are. I think as long as
you look up and it's like as long as they're not in the play-in, then you're okay with whatever happens. Like,
exactly. Be a top 6 seed. Yeah, just be a top 6 seed and you're straight.
Yeah, and they definitely are that right now. So it's different. Where like if you bet someone else, you would want to see some like if I were betting, and I'm not betting them, but like if you were betting Memphis, you would want to see some like regular season stuff. Like you would want to see some stuff that made you feel like you were watching.
I don't trust them at all right now. Like it's going to be hard.
No, I don't really trust the people in that front office right now either. I was with them for a minute, and then
2 years ago, last year and a half. No, not as much. There's a lot of disarray going on.
The Rockets just hired Chris Wallace, who was their director of scouting. So like all the guy who's been doing all their draft stuff and hitting on all these guys is now no longer there. So like,
and they missed 2 years ago when they took what's his face from Stanford in the top 10. That was a mess.
Although I'll say this, them not going and signing wings to me feels like they're doubling down on Zaire and David Roddy, and that's a choice.
Zaire, he's not good.
I know, but like then you're doubling down on Roddy, like, and I'm
an undersized wing. I mean, I like his game, but that's a lot to ask for an undersized guy like him.
A chunky wing,
chunky boy.
He's a thicker
guy,
like
Garrett Sullinger type, like that type of body frame.
Yeah,
ain't no good. Yeah, and then also didn't really do enough in the point guard room to make you feel like they're going to be okay for the first 25 games. I know, like they signed Derek. They signed Derrick Rose.
He's
hooked. Right, but we all know they signed Derrick Rose to come in and just like
exactly. I understand that, but if you're going into the season knowing Ja's out 25 games and your starting point guard right now is Derrick Rose, I think, right?
Either that or what they'll do is they'll start Kennard at the 2 and then find a way to start Smart and Bane. And like you don't really want to do that either.
I forgot about Smart. But that's something.
That's still not ideal, but like getting by for 3 weeks.
They better hope that they're sitting at 500 or at least a little bit under 500 by the time Ja goes back.
It's really going to boil down to how they shoot it those first few weeks, to be honest. Because like you're going to have to just shoot the lights out and just outscore people and just hope it goes well. Like, I don't know, but like also we know
one shooter is going to be out 25 games, but
but Smart streaky. Smart is streaky. If you start Kennard
up and down either, because Kennard's minutes are like he's hot and cold too. As far as
he plays 25, then he plays 8.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And then Bane can shoot. Jaren's streaky. So like you've got a bunch of streaky shooters, and you need all of them to run hot for a few weeks.
And they like to run up and down, and you can't do that. So you don't.
I will say this though.
You don't have a half court team.
Whenever Ja's out, they do tend to run hot. Like they tend to figure some stuff out and find a way.
Yeah, but now.
I know, but I think almost like I feel like we're being a little naive if we think it's all Tyus as to why they stayed.
No. But like there's a reason why they gave him a nice contract because what he does, to just keep everything afloat when Ja's out. Yeah. But now
they weren't a 500 team when Tyus was in there. They basically were just the same team as they were with Ja. So like from a regular season standpoint. So I think they can still play, and a lot of this will depend on the schedule release. Now, this is where I think Silver's low key going to get him. He's gonna stack that first 25 games.
Lakers.
Yeah, they're playing
Nuggets.
the Lakers on opening night. They're playing the Warriors like 2 or 3 times. Like they're getting that road.
I didn't think about the schedule, but like the schedule is important too. Who they play, that's
and
they're certainly not rolling out getting a lot of OKC Rockets.
Not even
Trailblazers games.
They're not getting the Rockets and the Pistons to start off the season. You know, they're going to be getting a nice little. The first 10 games might be on the road. Like, you know,
while we're on schedule, do the Spurs play opening night? Is he that big of a pull, or do they just wait Friday?
It depends if they put him.
Well, actually, because I guess the opening night's only 2 games.
Usually,
yeah.
So you probably get a Denver Lakers as the late one.
Say it'll be a Lakers.
An East Coast game.
Boston, Milwaukee, or Boston.
Denver's going to play opening night for the champions. Yeah, so they'll play
Boston, Miami, and Boston probably, especially if they get game.
They might do rematches. You know, just do Denver versus Miami opening night.
And then that kind of frees up the second night for like a Wemby.
Yeah, I was going to say, I figured
Scoot, you know.
I was going to say, I figured they didn't want to like have Wemby open on like Valley
Sports
Sports against the Hornets.
Knicks open the season.
Wemby in Denver for opening night, just throwing him to the wall.
Spurs Knicks would be have him at the Garden opening night. That's a marquee. That's massive.
Maybe. I don't know. They really never get
the rumors of Wemby to the Knicks can't start until at least 2026. So
we'll get his brother.
Well, we
love brothers. We love the brothers. Of the
I think like last year we opened with like Orlando at home. You
didn't have Wednesday last year.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you're going to get a marquee game against a big market.
It would actually be funny, though, if they did end up giving them Orlando again, but it would only be because then it would be deemed as Paolo versus Wemby, like back-to-back number one.
Rivalries, if you want to start some, little.
But I think that they'll go bigger than that for opening night. But that kind of wraps up where we're at on the NBA. We still have a lot to happen in the coming weeks, but safe to say the Knicks didn't do a lot. The Spurs got Wemby, and I'm just a pessimist about the Lakers. So let's move over now. Let's chat about the NFL division lines. We're going to take an early look at where some of these are at because I was looking at these yesterday, and I thought that there's some really odd ones, but also somewhere I think that the divisions are absolute toss-ups. So we'll start out in the AFC. Well, actually, let's go to the one that I think is probably the safest one. It's actually Walker's team's division. You've got the Jags at minus 165. Then you got Titans plus 420, Colts plus 540, and then Texans plus 800. Is there a scenario where the Jags don't win this division?
I mean, scenario, yes, but I mean, I think that it's probably likely that they're going to win it. I mean, I think the scenario is that like some people for like the Jags get hurt. Either that
have to be they lose Lawrence, right?
That or they just don't grow up. And they have trouble with the first place schedule. And like the Titans do have like unbiased wise, they do have kind of a higher floor just because Vrabel and Tannehill present some stability and Henry. Yeah. But like if the Titans go to Levis, then the division's over because it's like, all right, well now you're starting 3 rookie quarterbacks and they've got Lawrence. Like then it's just wraps right off the jump. I think the reason that you don't see the Jags laying an even heavier figure is because nobody knows what the Titans are doing. And, like, the Titans are technically still in on DeAndre Hopkins right now, like, technically. So, like, nobody really has any idea what the Titans are doing. And so I don't think the Titans have any idea what the Titans are doing. Like, again, incompetent franchise. But
I do think that if you're going to bet the Jags, I don't know if you'll get a better number than where it's at.
Not a nice number.
No, you won't. You won't. Not unless they jump out and start like 0-2. And like I don't know exactly what I don't have their schedule in front of me, so I don't know. But like, I mean, they would have to start pretty poor out of the gate to get a better number. But even then, like if you're trying to bet it, then you're not really like wanting to bank on the Jags doing something silly. I mean, that's preseason. No, like they open with the Colts on the road and then the Chiefs. So like, and road games in the NFL are always tough. And then Kansas City obviously is tough. So, like, I mean, yeah, if you got that 0-2 start, but then again, I'm talking myself in circles, but like, because like you're also relying on someone else in the AFC South to start well, to like diminish the value on the Jags, and I just don't. I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I know the Titans open on the road with the Saints. Like, they're not winning that game. I mean,
half the Colts team got suspended for gambling, so I mean, they're kind of in a
and that's the one too, where like they were kind of your wild card if you wanted to throw a dart, just because like who really knows what Richardson's going to look like, and if Richardson kind of comes in and is like really really good from the jump, then there's enough there with the Colts where they could be interesting. But I mean, they're still. I mean, that's a long shot. Like this is a Jags division. And I think it's a Jags win total too. Like it's scaled all the way up. I think it was set at like 9.5. I think they're telling you that they're going to go like 10-7 or 11-6 and win the division by a couple games.
Yeah, I definitely lean the over there as well with the Jags. Chris, I think we're in agreement that this is Jags to lose.
Yeah, they need something catastrophic to happen to like Lawrence or all that, like him getting,
And honestly, think if you polled all the teams in the division as to like who do you want to win the division, all 4 would vote for the Jags because they all have like other plans. Like I think they're all like, please stay healthy, Trevor.
Trevor, you can have it this year, man. Like we're not going after it.
And that's just
go at it. You got it, man.
Yeah, like the Titans, they're trying to figure out if any of their young guy quarterbacks may step up. And
I will be betting. I will be legitimately betting the Titans to have the worst record in the NFL. It's not.
They might have a fire sale.
It's not unfathomable. It is not even far.
No, honestly, I would kind of put them in that category of where I had the Bears last year, where it ended
up being record in the NFL.
Yeah, but it was they weren't the best odds. They were like 6th or 7th or something. But
they're that bad. No, there's got to be worse teams than them.
Well, I'm saying like last year. I mean, the Bears were there, and I was like, well, I just figured
Tampa Bay's pretty shitty.
Yeah, but Baker.
But they're also in a horrible division. Like,
they
the
Titans are too,
but like the Titans are too. But if you're starting a rookie quarterback, like at least the Bucs, like it's like, all right, well, we're gonna run into Atlanta, who start.
Tampa Bay sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, Tampa Bay at least has enough weapons on offense. They still have like Evans, Godwin.
They don't have a quarterback though.
Baker or Trask,
Baker at least gives you enough to where you.
They're all in on what's his face from USC probably.
Caleb Williams, yeah.
They're all in.
Okay, so
them and everybody else.
If we're talking next highest odds to win their division, it's the defending champs. The Chiefs are minus 165 right now as well. Chargers are plus 340. Broncos are plus 540. Raiders are plus 1200. Is this like just in Mahomes we trust, or is there a situation where someone else wins?
The Chargers are the ultimate tease.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be like, it's going to be, this is it. I'm going to, because of what, they're plus 340, something like that?
Yeah.
Like, people are going to throw money on that.
I'm going to hate it, but I'm probably going to bet the Broncos over win total. Like,
yeah, I would too.
I kind of think Peyton comes in and like Russ probably figures some stuff out this offseason where he's not like just so pathetic that like
that was weird. Like I understand that Nathaniel Hackett was an absolute atrocity.
I know, but he was bad too, man.
To be that bad,
dudes. Yeah,
he was bad. Russell Wilson. So like, it's like, hold up, maybe. Like, do you just turn it like that around? Like, he was all-time bad last year. Do you just become Russell Wilson of Seattle again? Or is this something that, like, hey, maybe he just is not as good as we thought? Maybe it was just the system.
I mean, what was Denver last year? How many wins did they end up with? 5, 6?
4,
it
5,
was more than that because they didn't pick that high.
They didn't have a pick. They lost their pick to Seattle.
I know, but their pick was still like 5 or 6.
They probably had 6 wins, and I would guess that their total is like what? Is their total 8.5?
I don't know. I'll go look, but they're 5. I've looked at it already, but I think it's 9.5 actually. It's 5. They went 5-12 last year. No, it's 8.5. It's 8.5 minus 110. Each way. But they went 5-12 last year. The Raiders are going to be drastically worse. Like I feel okay counting those 2 wins, and you get to play a last place schedule. So like I think that getting like a worse division and then also getting I think they get a little bit better, at least from a coaching standpoint, they definitely, are better
I
than they
think
were last
if
year.
you trust Sean Payton to get them, to make them improve drastically, then I guess you could buy that number. But like their running game, Williams is coming off an ACL. Their offensive line is shaky. Their receiving core, we don't even know if they're going to keep them. They're all in trade. Sutton and Judy always in trade rumors.
Yeah.
The defense was solid, but if you're buying Sean Payton to be what he did in the Saints, but that also doesn't mean just because he did it with the Saints doesn't mean he's going to do it with Denver. We kind of just assuming that's going to happen. It's like, and also is Russell Wilson digressing? Is he really on the decline?
I get that. I get all of that. But I think that like when you look at what you're dealing with, the AFC, the middle of the AFC that was so predominant last year is now all pretty much bad. Like a lot of those teams basically sold off because they knew they were mediocre, whereas Denver didn't. Like they're still pretty mediocre. So I think that like you get a weaker AFC, a weaker bottom half of the AFC where you're going to be favored in a lot more of those games.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get a weaker division because of the same thing. And then like also you get a massive coaching upgrade. And like Russell Wilson didn't just forget how to quarterback overnight. Like I'm not really sure he's good anymore, but I'm also not sure that he's as bad as we saw last year. And y'all know how I feel about running backs. Like, Williams off an ACL, that's fine. Like he'll probably still be just about like every other running back. So he'll be dependent on whatever the offensive line and quarterback do. So I think that's a lot of what you're looking at with that.
I'd feel a bit better about betting the Chargers if they didn't run it back with the same head coach, because I thought that he was a guy that was kind of on the hot seat last year as well. And
it sucks, man. I was a Staley guy because I'm an analytics guy, and I love going for it on fourth down. My college team does it. I like the fact that Staley did it in the NFL, but like a lot of his, like he was either like he wasn't all the way bought in on it. Like he either would not be bought in on it and then like punt it in stupid situations. Like he had one foot in each pool. Like, and you have to like, if you're going to build your identity around that, like you either have to be all in or all out, like do one or the other. And like, you just would look up and it would be 4th and 2 at the, whoever they were playing against. It'd be like the 45 and you'd be like, well, is he about to kick like a 62-yard field goal, or is he going to go for it? Or is he going to take a delay game and punt it? Like, you really never knew, and I think that he's got to get more consistent. And I think some of that last year was that he didn't trust their defense at all. And the first year he did, and that's why he went for it so much. But I don't know. I think he'll be better this year. I just think, maybe I'm the low man on Herbert. Like, I think he's really cool and does a lot of really cool throws, but like it seems like he doesn't like just go and win them a ton of big games. And like that's kind of the thing that quarterbacks get remembered for, and he really doesn't do that very often. And it used to be, well, young quarterbacks take some time or whatever, but like in this league, that's not necessarily true anymore. Like
he's Anthony Davis.
He is a lot of ways, yeah. Like, and
I think what drives me nuts is that the media has essentially given him a pass every single year for a different reason. Like even last year, it was, well, the defense was like all-time hurt last year. It's like, yeah, but there was still some games there where like it was right there for the young quarterback to win.
Nothing lead in a playoff game, like
I mean,
but
he gets a complete and total pass for that, and it's crazy
because like really all you're asking of a quarterback at that point is like in the second half, like all he has to do is lead one scoring drive, literally just one.
Get a couple first downs. Waste.
The clock is your friend when you're up 27. When you're up 27,
you have Austin Eckler in the backfield. Like you
also the OC change should help them though. I think they changed OCs if I remember right, and that should help them where maybe they'll get some fresh brain in there. Like, I think they hired Kellen Moore, didn't they not?
Yeah. Kellen Moore's there. Yeah,
that should help them some.
Well, if you want Kellen Moore to win you very important football games, then I don't know if he's going to be that guy. But sorry, that's just a pessimistic Dallas fan.
That's true. But we're going to find out this year whether or not it was a Kellen Moore thing or whether or not it was a Dak Prescott thing. I think we do set the watch for that this year because there's been basically sets of fans who believe either side of that argument, and we're going to find out. So.
Okay, let's round out the AFC. Let's chat about the East and the North. So you've got Bills are plus 125, Jets are plus 250, Dolphins plus 300, and Pats plus 800. And then in the North, you've got Cincy plus 115, Baltimore plus 250, the Browns plus 350, and the Steelers plus 650. So these are much tighter divisions. I don't know why the Patriots are plus 800. Like, to
That's
me,
kind of wild.
I think that's giving just
They actually have
Belichick
coaches
a
this
ton
year
of.
too. They actually have like real coaches this year too. So
Yeah. So is this Buffalo's and Cincy's?
Repeat that. I missed that.
they got coaches this year.
I know. No, the team. I missed the team.
Oh,
The
Patriots.
Oh yeah.
How they're plus 800 and not a far more distant.
That's kind of wild. They're plus 800.
But apparently having faith in Mac Jones. So is it Buffalo's and Cincy's to win? Is there a team in there that you think can win that division over either of those two teams? And if so, who is it? Walker, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I like Miami. I kind of like Miami. If Tua's not a corpse, then like I do think that they've got a shot here. Like, it's going to be year 2 of McDaniel where they'll probably have some other stuff figured out. If Tua's they were pretty good last year when Tua was hurt. I'm not really all the way bought in on the Jets thing. That kind of just feels weird. Like that doesn't feel very right.
Yes.
And I think the Bills are really good, but I do think you're getting a little bit of value on Miami here because Miami really did go blow for blow with Buffalo down the stretch where they lost 8 or 9 in a row. Which I mean that's not in the NFL. That's not very normal. So I really do think maybe they start hot like they did last year, and when they get to that back stretch, maybe they play 500 ball instead of 0 for 9 ball, and they look up and they're 12-5 instead of.
They got a good backup quarterback too. They got Mike White from the Jets, so
yeah, that'll work. I mean, you just had to have a body there though. They really should have made the trade that the Titans made Mariota's last year, where you go and get a Tannehill type, where he's probably good enough to start for some teams, but maybe they accept a backup role with a playoff team, knowing that Tua probably isn't going to play every game. So they probably should have made a move like that, even if it costs you a 3rd or 4th round pick. But we'll see. I wouldn't want my season rolling with Mike White. That's the big thing is if you're betting the Dolphins, you're kind of betting on Tua to stay healthy. So that's going to be a big part of it.
Chris, what about for you?
I'm with them with the Dolphins.
You're
I like
Dolphins.
that. The Jets thing just seems like I know a lot of correlation between this and Favre when Favre got there, but it's crazy how similar it is. It's very similar. Walker's.
No, sorry, the Rangers are about to mess around and win this game.
Oh, really? They came back.
It's 10-8. It's 10-8, and they've got 2 runners in scoring position because the Astros guy ran into the wall. Oh God, this would be a hilarious thing.
I like the Dolphins this year. Like I said, Tua obviously it's predicated on Tua's health and all that. But I like their coach a lot. I think they could do some fun stuff offensively. Defense is better. That defensive line is going to be improved and all that. Second, they got Ramsey from the Rams and all that. The Jets thing just Saleh and him. I don't know. I feel like they're going to butt heads.
Yeah, I feel like they're both very set in their ways, and I don't know if that's going to work.
Saleh, the Jets didn't end the season well, and I feel like this is a make or break season for Saleh. And if let's say Rodgers balls out and they don't make the playoffs, kind of like what happened with Favre and all that, I could see them being like, hey, we kind of need an offensive minded coach that an established coach, that knows how to build a team and all that. So I could see that happen. So the Jets thing, it seems like, but I think Buffalo's going to be good, but it just obviously.
The one thing that concerns me about Buffalo is Allen did have a turnover problem last year, and in a tight division, I think it's going to be in the East this year.
He regressed because losing Dayball was huge for him.
Yeah. I just worry that they could be a 12-win team, but he turns it over a couple times in bad spots. They end 10-7. They're still a dangerous team come playoff time, but then team sneaks by them and they're 11-5.
And the Jets and the Dolphins played them really good. I mean, the Jets beat them at home last year.
Yeah.
Like you said, turnovers and all, and the offense just was very up and down and all that. And they still had the dig situation's kind of weird and all that. We got to figure out that situation. Who's going to be that 2? I know they got Davis and all that, Gabe Davis, but he's more like a 3 and all that. The tight end position is always up and down. The run game is always, so there's some things, Vaughn, if Vaughn, his health, because he blew out his knee right last year.
Yeah.
So his health is we got to figure out secondary and all that. So they have some issues, but I think they are the best team in the division. But I like the Dolphins. I think the Jets thing is, I don't know. They're still young. They're still a lot of their core pieces are still very young. I know they're good, but they're still young and all that. And you're incorporating Aaron Rodgers, who's gonna want to win now. No, so it's, I don't know. It's a weird situation with them. I don't believe in Saleh too. I don't think Saleh is I think he's a defensive coordinator. So.
In the north, they why I don't understand it, and maybe because I don't understand it, I'm not gonna bet it. But why is the market just now very, very sour on the Browns?
Were Watson's, because maybe what they saw from Watson last year because he wasn't good.
I know, but they're plus 425 and the Steelers are plus 450. You're telling me those teams are similar?
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the book, because mine was plus 350, plus 650, so it was a bit more spread out and probably higher on the Browns.
DraftKings has Browns plus 425, and
that's Steelers. I was looking at DraftKings. Wow. Huh. Yeah. So that's why I was kind of
I mean, I don't know who's actually putting money on the Steelers to win that division.
Yeah. No, I don't either. But and maybe it's just really the Vegas telling you that neither one of them has a chance. It's a 2-team race. But I think, and I think it's
the Browns have some upside though.
I kind of I'm weirdly. I know, they finally got there's no more excuses for Lamar come postseason time, because there are some legit receivers now. They've spent first-round picks back-to-back years on receivers, and they signed Odell, and you still have both, and now you have 2 tight ends instead of 1. Dobbins is going to be year 2 back off the ACL, so he'll hopefully look a little bit more explosive. I mean, that Ronnie Stanley will be back full time, really, really healthy. I don't know, man. I think that I already personally thought they were better than the Bengals last year, because I'm a Bengals truther, but I don't know. I like the Ravens. I like the Ravens there for sure. I do think they're more talent. I think they're a little bit just more.
Do we believe that Lamar takes that next step as a passer? We know we can do all.
I think he's already there. I think he's already there in a way. I think they just kind of had a lot of weird stuff happen last year where, I think he spent some time hurt, and then they had some other guys hurt where, even when he did play, he wasn't just super, super protected. I think the defense for a Ravens team was weirdly, weirdly down last year. So I'm hoping that a lot of
the Dolphins game, they were just getting cooked.
I know, and that's why I'm hoping next year, they bounce back off of a lot of that stuff and figure some stuff out and find ways to stop teams and, block people, and Lamar will stay healthy. Because I think if they do, I think it's a really dangerous team in the playoffs. I do worry that they're just a little bit capped, though. They are what they are, and this is the ceiling for them. They're always going to be that. But the good news for us is, in this scenario, is that cap does involve them winning 12 regular season games. And that's at 220, that's worth a look if you know they're going to win 11 or 12 games. Vegas seems pretty high, too. I think Vegas had them 10.5 maybe over under. And so at 10.5, you're all right, it really comes down to those head-to-head games with the Bengals, and I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, I'd like them to split there at worst. I don't see the Bengals sweeping there.
Well, they'll beat them. They'll beat them at MMT Bank, I think, for sure. I think they'll beat them in Baltimore. Not a lot of teams go into Baltimore and win. Yeah. That's the other thing too, is they're so good at home that you don't really worry about a lot of teams coming in there and beating them. If Kansas City rolls into Baltimore, Baltimore may struggle, but I think also it's okay, the Titans roll in there on a Sunday at noon. It's the Titans aren't beating the Ravens today. And even really even some of these other divisional contenders who aren't Super Bowl caliber teams, you're just they're not beating the Ravens in Baltimore. So I like the Ravens there. I like the Ravens a little bit in Super Bowl futures markets, to where maybe you can at least get to the AFC Championship game, and then you can kind of figure out what you want to do with it, depending on who else gets there. I think the Ravens this year, I'm kind of bought in a little bit.
Okay, let's flip to the NFC. Anyone not taking the 49ers to win the West? Even with the uncertainty at QB?
I mean, but who else is going to win it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be our next point, was Seattle plus
they have the
220.
easiest path. Yeah.
This hurts. The Purdy thing hurts the Niners in like
It's
a Super Bowl market and like a long-term like value market than it does the division market. Because like we've been reminded every year, you can win a division at like 9-8. Like you know.
And
I think that even like I'm not saying the Niners. Yeah, I'm saying like I'm not saying they're only winning 9 games, but I'm saying if they do, they probably still win the division.
Yeah.
Like even and Purdy's a pumpkin. Don't get me wrong, but like
Arizona has the worst odds in the NFL to win their division at plus 2,500.
Yeah,
ESPN just had them ranked have the worst roster in football, so it's gonna be a rough year for Mr. Call of Duty.
Rams are plus 840.
Yeah,
you would need Stafford and Cup to come back just as good as they just were, but they don't have Ramsey.
They got their title. I think
you would basically have to have Donald's Defensive Player of the Year and then Stafford and Cup back.
They might trade him.
Yeah, they still might. Like that's what I mean. Like that's the only way that they would even get to the territory of potentially.
Well, and they can't block. They can't block. They can't cover people in the secondary. Ramsey's gone. Like I'm not
going to sprinkle on it. Like I get why the 840 is there. It's just because they have Stafford.
It could because you never like the quarterbacks and listen, the 49ers have dealt with injuries in the past, right? That's kind of been like their Achilles heels, injuries and all that, and their quarterback situation is a little weird because we don't know who their quarterback is right now. Like they got Darnold, Trey Lance, like they took him with the top 3 pick, and now they're like, oh crap, we made a mistake. Should never took a guy this high. That's a project. Now Darnold's going to be the starting quarterback week 1 and all that. So they could have like a malfunction at the beginning of the year, and the Rams are just hell. I don't know. It could. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. They would have to get out to a poor start and then just not be able to recover late. Now, so 49ers to win there. NFC East. We've got 2 NFC East fans here. Eagles are minus 125. Dallas plus 190. Giants plus 860. And then Washington is plus 1,200. Is there value here, or is this the Eagles to lose? Because to me, the Eagles had such a great offseason. Like, I'm not even looking at it.
I think it's the Eagles. I think it's the Eagles. I do think that they are kind of telling you right now that maybe the Giants are going to be like a fringy, like 9-8 type scrappy team again this year, that they're not taking a step. I think that's what they're insinuating. I think it's pretty clear. They're because they're very much drawing a line in the sand and telling you this Giants team is not in the class of the other 2 teams in this division. Like they're telling you Dallas and Philly are very clearly better than the other 2 teams. And so I think that's interesting because like as a Giants fan, you would want to see like a plus 400 or something.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, and it's crazy. I kind of get why the number is, because if you just look at last year, right, we had a nice start, but we won a lot of close games too. So that's kind of like it could have easily went the other way, and we're 4-5, we're 4-12, 4-13 or whatever, and it could have been that. Could have went that, and we struggled towards the late in the season. We won a playoff game and all that, and like we made some solid moves in the off season, but nothing that's like wow. Like, and we still got the Saquon stuff that's kind of we don't know. Like, we did upgrade the receiver, but we still don't have someone that anyone's going to be threatened by in the receiving core. We did pick up Waller. I mean, but he's a tight end thoe.
Yeah, I know. I'm just meaning like at least
2 years, and he's only 30, so like. There could be, the defense is still, even though I like Wink and all that, there's still some holes and all that. We got to see if Thibodeau takes that next step as a pass rusher, because that's going to be key. Because if he takes that leap, then the defense is going to be, we took a Banks from, I think his name is Banks from Maryland in the draft. So we needed to upgrade it, but I could see why they have it as that number, because I think we are. I think that doesn't really shock me that much that the number is there, because I could see it could easily be like how it was in 2016 when we went to the playoffs and like we won a lot of close games, and the next year we were really. I don't think it would be as bad, but like I could see us being like a 7-win team. It wouldn't shock me.
Well, and that's the thing, is that to make the playoffs, the Giants are plus 150, so they're thinking that the Giants aren't a playoff team this year.
We also need Daniel Jones to take that next step, because he just got paid as if he's a elite quarterback. And like, he was better last year, but he was still like, and I know we didn't have weapons, but he still only threw 15 touchdowns. Like we need him to be in the 20s, mid-20s. Like he has to take that because Saquon, we don't even know if Saquon's gonna be on this team this year. He might get traded or hold out, whatever. We don't know that situation. So he's gonna have to fling it a lot this year. So
that's also why I think that this number's where it's at, though, is that if Saquon plays, then I think that we're going to see some line movement. Not anything like insane.
Yeah, I think that's another factor too. Yeah, you're right.
He'll get closer to plus 120, plus 125 for playoffs type deal.
So you think that's a factor in this number because there is no Saquon is not at camp. So you think that's why the number is what it is? Do you think so? What would the number be if we knew he was in camp? Would it be plus 5, maybe?
Well, division wise, they're probably still like plus 700.
Talking about a running back, like
yeah, but I mean, we are talking about a running back that was a significant role in their offense.
He was our best player last year.
Because there wasn't other weapons. Like I think
I know, but like at the same time, it's like you're asking them to like. I don't think a running back and like listen, this is true of Derrick Henry too. I think like. I really don't think running backs are going to move markets like that. Like I think maybe it's worth like half a point, 1 point to like to a full game line and maybe like a little bit to a futures market. I really think they're just showing you more transparency here that they think like, hey, like last year they won a bunch of close games. We're not really bought in on the Danny Dimes stuff. Like
I'm not either.
Yeah, I think that all that Saquon does as far as the division goes is it would make Washington probably go up even higher, which I'm shocked that they're even at 1,200. Like I thought that they'd be 1,500 or more. Giants move down a little bit. Cowboys move up to like plus 210 or something. Like to me, you would see that kind of line movement with Saquon in camp. But right now, like not knowing if he's going to go, like they're just erring on the side of caution with it. Yeah, I don't think any of us think that the Giants are a real threat to win the division. Just like I don't even think Dallas is a threat to win the division.
I think Eagles are going to coast.
Yeah.
If healthy, obviously.
Even with that first place schedule, because it looks daunting, I still think that team top to bottom.
They're a class in their own. And that
they're the complete team right now.
Too many questions for the other teams where the Eagles are up and down. That balance on that roster is just it's potent.
Okay, so let's chat NFC South. What a weird division.
We have to?
Yeah, I mean this because to me, I don't know who the team is. It's Saints plus 120, it's Falcons plus 215, it's Panthers plus 400, and it's Bucks plus 800. I mean, is there like a clear cut for you?
I think it's Atlanta for me. I think it's Atlanta.
Yeah. That was kind of where I was leaning.
Speaking of Atlanta, we completely forgot on the Jags thing that Calvin Ridley's on the Jags now.
Yeah, and he's actually playing this year.
Maybe he can put DraftKings away for long enough to play. Like
they got a nicer
outside the facility and not on your own team. Also, I guess we're already moved back to the AFC South. How wild is it that the Colts player bet on his own team?
That's insane.
He got cut, right?
So McAfee was talking about this. How did he not come out right away and say that he at the very least bet the over on his teammate? Because he bet the rushing yards. That was the report.
Yeah, and you know that means Jonathan Taylor too.
So at the very least, if you come out and say, no, I bet on my boy to go over that week, like at least you can somewhat save face, but you'll never be on an NFL roster again if you bet the under on Jonathan Taylor.
Why? And like, I don't get how these guys getting caught like that. Why don't you have your mom or not even your mom, your grandma, your second aunt or your friend or someone that and have them open an account. And if you got name like, hey man, I think Taylor's feeling it. He's having a good week of practice. I think he's gonna go over 85 yards this week. Bet the over.
Why are you gonna open up ahead of that, right?
It says Calvin Ridley 1, 2, 3, and like why are you making it so obvious? Like they could check the IP and all that. Like, I don't know. These guys are idiots.
Okay, so NFC South, Falcons. Yeah, I was kind of leaning plus 215 as well. I think that the Saints. We don't know what's happening with Kamara yet. I'm assuming that he's missing some sort of time this year.
They have Derek Carr, right?
They have Derek Carr. So we're talking about a division with Derek Carr, Desmond Ridder, Bryce Young, and we're going to call it Baker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle Trask season?
I mean,
Nah,
If
dude.
you wanna tank,
I don't even think any of these QBs you're
You not see the
rostering in
video of
fantasy.
Trask? Trask Quentin was like working out this summer with the Bucks receivers, and like balls were hitting the ground. Like they were legit, like balls were getting dropped.
Imagine
like,
going from Tom Brady. You go from Tom Brady, you win a Super Bowl, and then you go to Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield. Like that. If I'm Mike Evans and company, I'm just like,
I'm out.
Wow. The fall from grace, we went from Super Bowl to
Can we change the narrative around Mike Evans if he goes for over 1,000 yards this year with one of those two guys?
Mo might have to say he's elite if he gets 1,000 yards with Baker.
I think Mike Evans gets into the Hall of Fame if he goes for over 1,000 yards this year.
If he gets 1,200 yards this year with Baker Mayfield, then Mo, you gotta apologize to him. He
might be an MVP candidate if he gets 1,200 yards.
Oh man, it's gonna be rough for them boys. It's gonna be a rough season for them.
Yeah, I think it's
rough for Tampa.
I think
they're on the clock.
Bijan, you've got Ritter, and then Bijan.
They're gonna have a fun team, the Falcons. They're gonna have a fun team.
They were fun last year. I mean,
is Kyle Pitts gonna figure it out this year?
Yeah, I think they figured it out.
Well, I mean, it's not even that he
more than one touchdown.
How to catch passes. It's just he can't find they don't throw it to him in the end zone.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so
Caleb would be a perfect Atlanta Falcon.
I think people will sucker bet the Panthers in case Bryce Young has a phenomenal rookie year, but
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Yeah,
yeah.
I like it.
But I mean, they lost DJ Moore. So who's he throwing to? Who did they add?
Yeah, I forgot that he's.
All right, they traded Moore. Where did Moore go again?
To the team that we're going to talk about next in the North.
Oh, he went to the Bears, right?
So the Lions are plus 130.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you forgot. Right.
Vikings are plus 250. Bears are plus 420, and the Packers are plus 480. Who's winning this division?
That's another
From
one.
a betting standpoint, the Bears. From a likelihood standpoint, the Lions. I
can't get myself to bet the Lions at that number.
No, I can't. It's fun to bet the Lions as the scrappy dog, like in the division. I'm not ready to go there with them as the favorite. But I think with the Bears, DJ Moore, I'm sure will really, really help the wide receiver blocking on all the QB runs. So, because Fields is
QB power and QB power.
Yeah, I mean, so I do think if Fields does take a step with more weapons around him and the offensive line's a little bit better, then that team will maybe he'll throw. The only thing you have to worry about is he loves the game-breaking interception in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I don't want to hear it about Justin Fields if he doesn't have a good year this year because DJ Moore, Claypool, Mooney,
that's not even like a bottom 10 receiving core in the league.
Like Cole Kmet at tight end is pretty solid too. Like we're talking about that being mid to upper tier as far as like a 3 wide receiver set goes. Like that's
and there's no Aaron Rodgers. The division is up for grabs. So
the Lions defense is still horrendous. The Vikings lost a lot of guys. There's no reason that the Bears can't.
The Lions
there's only 2 teams you can bet, and it's Detroit and Chicago. You don't bet Minnesota and you don't bet Green Bay. Minnesota, I think Minnesota, the market's incredibly transparent. I think you're betting their under win total. I think they're going 8-9, and they're going to be really, really mid.
Is their defense still awful?
It's trash. Yeah, it's trash. And then you take Thielen off, you take Dalvin off, you factor in the fact that they won a ton of close games last year. There's a rookie head coach who really didn't have to face any adversity until the playoffs. So I mean, this year I think when bullets will start flying a little bit. They're less talented. The schedule is going to be more difficult. There's so many reasons I think the Vikings go under that 8.5 this year.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're going to do anything crazy like only win 6 games, but 8 and 9 feels like the spot for them this year as well. Okay, so let's cap things off. Let's talk about NBA Summer League because, I don't even think Chris and I can name who's on our Summer League teams. You got Trevor Keels. I've got Fitzgerald, and then you've got Wemby, but he might play 5 minutes in 5 games. So,
yeah, but I've at least got other dudes to watch.
So what we're going to do is we're going to draft teams to potentially win Summer League. And at the end, I mean, hopefully we're going to get 3 picks each. So if we can't pick out of 9 teams who's going to win NBA Summer League, then we might just have to shut down this podcast and say maybe we don't know basketball. But Walker, you got the first pick in the NBA draft this year. So I'm going to give you first overall pick as far as teams go. Chris, you're used to being bottom, being a Knicks fan, so you can have the third, and I'll take the middle with the Lakers. So, Walker, start us out. Who's the number 1 pick of teams to win NBA Summer League?
Portland. I'm taking Portland.
Okay. So you like Scoot, Keon Johnson, Chris Murray. Who else
And
is it?
Shaden.
Oh, right. Shaden Sharp's playing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm rocking with that group.
Okay, I'm going to take with my first pick, I'm going to take the Indiana Pacers.
All right.
Mathurin, Jarris Walker, Nembhard, Isaiah Jackson, Oscar Tshiebwe. I feel good about that Indiana team. Now, Chris, this is the nice part about having the tail end. You get back-to-back. So who are your...
Give me the Thunder because they got both Jalen Williams, Chet, and Trey Mann, and the Hornets because they got a lot of Book Knights going to be there. Nick Smith Jr., Kai Jones, who they took a few years back from Texas. So Brandon Miller's going to play. So I like those 2 teams a lot for Summer League.
Okay, I'm going to take Detroit with my pick. Duren, Ivy, Sasser, Thompson, and Livers, I think, is a pretty solid group. Walker, you get back-to-backs here, your last 2 picks.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'm going to take San Antonio first. I mean, I get Wemby. I get City Sissoko. I mean, I'm going to get Malachi Branham. I'm getting Blake Wesley. I'm getting Champagny. I'm getting Josh Carlton's coming over off a monster season from France. Like, I'm getting a lot of dudes. I'm getting Don Barlow, who played real NBA minutes last year. So I'm getting what I would have power rated in my head as the second best summer league team. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about where I'm at.
Okay.
And then now this is where it gets difficult because I have to think for a second. I'm gonna take. I know who I want to take. I just want to make sure that I have the right guys on the roster. So I know this is bad pod, but like,
I mean, honestly, once you get past those first number of teams, then you're banking on, okay, is it just a lot of like fringe guys that are going to show up? And like,
I think I'm taking. I think I'm going to take Utah.
Ooh.
I'm going to take Utah.
Utah rocking for summer league.
So like I'll get Johnny Juzang, Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Bryce Sensabaugh, if he's healthy, which I don't know. He had left knee surgery, so it feels like that's not going to happen. But I at least get that handful of guys that are really, really talented. So I feel like, actually I'm changing my pick because I saw their roster earlier. I'm taking Atlanta. That's who I'm taking. I'm taking Atlanta because they've got Kobe Buffkin. AJ Griffin's going to play. I like Seth Lundy a good bit. They've got a dude who can really go get buckets because shout out to Jarkel Joyner. He's on that squad.
Bitch Kretsky's playing. They took him like 3 years ago. He's solid too.
Yeah, he's playing. And then they've got like some legit bigs, like Brady Mannix in there. Plavsic from Tennessee is going to probably break someone's shoulder.
He's on the monster.
Jason Etienne's going to get buckets. It's a pretty solid squad. They got Muhammad Gaye out of Washington State, who was at one point was a super real prospect. So I think that's a solid squad to roll with. I'm going to roll with Atlanta.
Okay, my last pick. The team that just paid the most hated Canadian in my books, Dylan Brooks. So the Houston Rockets. I'll take Jabari Smith Jr.'s playing. They got Eamon Thompson, Cam Whitmore, and Tari Eason is playing as well. So
yeah, that's probably a good pick.
I like that Houston team. Okay, Chris, final pick. Now it's getting down to it.
Yeah, it really
Yeah, I
is.
should have taken it.
I don't know what
You
I'm
know
going
what,
to do
I'll
if we
go
don't
with
even
them.
get like a finalist here. Like this would be really
Are you
bad.
going to take the Knicks?
Hell no. They're probably if I had to do a power rankings on summer league teams, the Knicks are last. I'm not even
Come
lying.
on,
to it.
Trevor
Like, they might
Keels
be
is
like-
going to win Summer League MVP.
I mean, he might be on like an all summer league team, but they're not good. Their summer league team sucks. I'm going with
Yeah,
Dallas.
put up 20 on a bad team. Dallas?
I'm gonna go Dallas because I think Jaden Hardy's playing, and I think he's just absolutely gonna eat. Like a Mike Miles, Jelly Walker, I think's on their team from UAB.
Yep.
They got Lively's gonna be there, so hopefully we get to see maybe some pick and rolls with him, and maybe he'll see some shooting. Omax is gonna be playing, so I like that team simply because Hardy I think is gonna be he might win MVP. So I'm gonna go Dallas. My last pick.
He'll bail once he sees Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley with 10 additional. Blake Wesley with 10 additional pounds. I'm bad.
Is Champagne playing?
Yes, he's
Champagne
playing. He's playing too.
All right. So actually, let's cap it off. Last call pick segment sponsored by Last Mountain Distillery. We're going to give a betting pick for today. This episode, well, we're recording right now at 2:30 my time. So let's try and pick a later game if we can for MLB to accommodate. So I'll give you guys a second. I think I'm just going to play Braves money line today. Actually, no, they're
The
not
Rangers
even
are
playing
back.
today.
Wow, you guys tied the game.
Yeah, it's 10-10. We're back.
You're back?
Yeah, the Rangers are back.
Oh God. Okay.
Just for the day, they're back.
You know what? I'll go CFL route today. Give me Lions -3 versus the Argonauts tonight. Lions have only given up 1 touchdown through 3 games. Defense has been phenomenal. Vernon Adams playing some of the best ball of his career. So I'll take the Lions -3 on the road in Toronto today. Chris, who you got?
I don't know. I'll give you fill-in Twins run line.
Twins run line today, hey?
Yeah.
They got Ryan going against Cox, so -1.5 at -110. Not bad value there. Okay, Walker, what have you got?
Can I give a bet for today and then give a futures bet just so I can
Yep.
timestamp it and market it? All right, cool. So baseball today. I've got the Orioles. I think it's a really top look. Fade Herman off coming off a perfect game. Really bad pitchers and really bad people sometimes accomplish really cool things. He's one of those.
That was
So
such
I
the
do
biggest
think,
story. Like people were like so weirded out. Like, wait a minute, this is such a cool feat to have a perfect game, but it's like out of all people who had to do it on the Yankees, it was Domingo Germán, the guy who has a domestic violence charge. People were like, that's cool, but like,
conflicted, yep.
Yeah. Anyway, but I do think this is a top spot to buy the Orioles. I think you're getting some real market strength to the Orioles here too. Like they come in here laying juice in Yankee Stadium with Taylor Wells on the mound. We're like,
it's pitching good too.
Yeah.
It's on my fantasy team. That's why.
we had this exact pin in this. So I think that like Vegas is obviously showing you something here. They've moved the line significantly towards the Orioles. I think you'll get a pretty square public dog with the Yankees at home today. I like the Orioles. I think they come in and offensively should play well. Taylor Wells should pitch well. Ironically, when Taylor Wells has pitched against the Yankees, what's gotten him into trouble is Aaron Judge, who's not going to be there tonight. So, he should pitch pretty well.
I wonder how Arson's doing. Arson Judge doing?
Yeah, he's probably doing pretty well.
Heard Arson doing.
Okay, give me your future.
That was Arson Judge.
All right, so I'm making sure that I've got the price right real quick. I know what I locked it in at, but I want to make sure it's still there. But I'm going to go ahead and give out a college basketball future and tell the entire world who's winning the national championship.
That's what just ended. Degenerate.
Walker's been texting me for a week. It's like, man, you got to go get this team 50-1. The line's moving. And I'm like,
all right, cool. Same price. Cool. So I took Villanova 30-1. I think they've arguably got the best starting 5.
Wait. To win it all or to win the Big East?
No, to win the whole thing. I think they've got arguably the best starting 5 in the country. There's going to be a lot of college games on that roster. They did well in the portal. Like, I think it's a team that at 30-1 probably should be more like 15-1. I think the reason you're getting the price is because of Kyle Neptune, and that's a really fair question. Like, we're not really sure, but it's all on him at this point. Like, the Cam Whitmore. I also bet this before the Cam Whitmore stuff came out around the draft, where like he didn't go to bat for Cam Whitmore. Apparently, that was part of the slide. And so I get all that stuff, but I think Villanova is a good one.
Villanova, hey?
Villanova?
I bet St. John's 80. Yeah, and I bet St. John's 80-1. I think Patino gets them in the tournament, decently high seed, with a chance to really, really make some noise. They've got bucket getters. They've got bucket getters. They've got some rim protection. They've got and they've got the coach that knows how to win the big game. So like I took shots with all those with both those teams.
They're going to get guys to flip too. They're going to get guys to flip next year too. They're going to get guys.
I know. And if you wanted to bet one of them to win the Big East, I'd bet St. John's just from a value standpoint. Villanova's probably going to be the second favorite. Or
if Justin Moore's healthy, if he's healthy and he's playing like he did 2 years ago, then I could see them doing some work. But
I think he's going to be. Because that was one of the big questions I had too. That won't be the last of the college basketball stuff I lock in. I always carry 3, 4, or 5 into.
They are upperclassmen heavy, and like it kind of felt like they were trying to bank on Cam Whitmore last year because he was like their highest.
They remind me so much from a pricing standpoint. Like I feel like I'm making the exact same bet in a way as I did with Texas last year, except last year Beard got fired where they had adversity. This year the coaching uncertainty is already there. So like. Yeah. I do think that you're getting the same, like a similar quality, like a team that ends up being like a 2 seed and really, really talented. And you've got the horses to run the race and win it all. It's just going to come down to whether or not the coach can get them there. So I do think that that's one of those things that I do think it's one of those things you can feel good about though. I did bet both of those. So.
Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on. It was episode 200 now in the books. We're going to be taking a break now for the summertime. We'll be in Vegas all next week, checking out some NBA Summer League, going to get some UFC while we're down there as well. So really looking forward to that. But Chris, I'll start with you. Where can the folks find your work?
Follow me Off the Ball Pod. It's where I'm most active, talking all things basketball and all that. Make sure to follow OTB_network or Off the Ball Network Twitter, offtheballnetwork.com, all that good stuff. I think I have a couple of shows planned next week, but just follow me on my Twitter for any updates and all that.
Walker, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow. I usually have my Twitter handle in there, but I changed it up today. So it's at Walker Bailey 818 on Twitter. I'm usually just watching the Rangers. God, Chapman's only thrown 96 today. That's not good. Anyway, that you can follow me there, and then follow everybody at offtheballnetwork.com. Just check out all the good stuff that's going on over there. Mo and I are going to start Field Stormers again here pretty quickly because the off season is really, really quickly coming to a close. So we're going to kind of get into season preview stuff and kind of get ready for football. So.
Sounds good. Well, we appreciate everyone who listened to the episode today at HedgePod on all social platforms where you can find our stuff. And we'll see you guys after our long break. Probably into August is when the next episode is going to be for the competitive Hedge.